Carl, thank you very much for being with us. It's a true honor and a pleasure having you with us. I actually wanted to ask you a little bit about your opinion of the automotive industry. Right now, we hear a lot of buzz, electric cars, autonomous driving. If we look ahead 5 to 10 years, how is the industry going to change?
Completely. I think beyond what people believe today, we not only move into batteries, which I hope we will get out as fast as we can, as it's a very strange way of carrying with a passenger car half a ton of batteries in the 21st century. But it's also about the ownership, not so much about autonomous driving. It's about the ownership of a car. For many people, the automobile is the biggest investment. And they have found out that it is standing around 90% of the time, costing money, while they better should earlier maybe buy their house or their apartment and so on. And this will also change, open new markets enormously, and consequently, with the technology, everything will be very different from not having any more this key 12-cylinder phenomenon of high-speed driving, fantastic acceleration, and the prestige of a man is presented to the public by the car he chooses. I think this will be much more sober. We will live in a world where there will be new things which will be of prestige. We will be offered to go to the moon. It will be interesting to look around there in 10 years' time, the first tickets.
So Carl, you highlight fundamental changes,
Yeah.
and to some extent you highlight the business model from owning a car to sharing a car. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, like you spoke a little bit about autonomous driving, and you spoke as well about the batteries. You spoke as well about electric propulsion systems. I wanted to focus a little bit on this because it seems that the production process moving from a combustion engine to an electric engine is completely different. So it seems there's going to be fundamental changes as well in the entire value chain, in the production for players such as Volkswagen or other large automotive manufacturers. How are they going to manage this fundamental transition that's going to take place?
You must very early get ready to realize that the new car doesn't need a transmission anymore, a clutch anymore, many elements, and consequently you have to prepare, but you have also to realize at the same time, at least we in Germany have a shortage of labor, a shortage of qualified people. So we better should start it to get our educational system in order, as the more we advance in the number field, the higher is the requirement for qualification. And as Europe is also behind in education, we should look around a little bit what the English invented, that the children in the kindergarten should not play. The English invented and observed that the children don't learn but absorb 1-2 languages at the age of 2, when their brain is a third of the final weight. And the Chinese have taken this up, and every child in China now, as of the age of 3, is learning, is not learning, is absorbing. And I can, in my own experience, tell you, we teach children in a kindergarten I started with reading, writing, and calculating. And after a couple of weeks, the children speak English. How come? It shows their potential, it will result in a higher brain IQ level. And when all Chinese are educated this way, the Europeans should have sleepless nights and do something about this, besides specifically, of course, training for preparing people who will have to take over completely new jobs, higher qualified jobs. What is in full swing in America. Also, you can study this by university and so on. So it is a complete different new world which requires new education and a particular planning process which you don't see, and you don't see the strategy on the basis of this planning process.
So you already pointed out education is going to be key, and innovation in education and pedagogy, I think, is absolutely key as well. And I personally couldn't agree more. But you brought up as well the Chinese, and I know this is one of your other passions. But I wanted to focus a bit more on the political situation right now. Clearly, China is a force to be reckoned with, and currently we see the US being engaged in a trade war that seems to have implications for the rest of the world. What, in your opinion, knowing China, knowing the US quite well, and obviously being European, what do you think should be our role as Europeans? Should we be standing on the sideline and just observe what's going on?
When I was born, Europe was 25% of mankind. Today, 8%. Germany is today 1%, a small, tiny country. We have not yet adopted to this role. And as we are not united in this enormous world, where 63% are living in Asia, we are following no policy, no strategy, and consequently, we are drifting further behind in all areas, and further dependency. Our protector continent and country, United States, under the present leadership, certainly not what I have ever in my worst dreams thought could happen. And as a consequence, we must realize we must now really start to ring the alarm bell for getting together and educating our people for this new world. These are the two only things we can do in order to be ready for the world which Mr. Trump, whether he wants it or not. China is leading today already in the economic importance. China is leading more and more in all sciences, overtaking us, as they also have 1.4 billion people. They have not only a very forceful market, but they have also a very forceful economy and scientific community, and the best education of any country which is existing today. And as a consequence, we cannot avoid that China will be a leader. When I think back the last 2,000–3,000 years, they were the leaders. They always had taken an extraordinary, sensible strategies. And the way I see them today, when I'm working with them in all sorts of fields, and when I observe the Communist Party of China, which nobody ever dreamed of that they would become the most successful capitalists of today, the most best people in developing strategies with world record in time of getting through their projects. If you take all this, it is not an accident or a disaster to see China in the #1 position by their characteristics, I think. And consequently, but we should benefit further by them, not only by our industries of yesterday, but we must of course climb up and see that China is an enormous market. Number one, Asia is an enormous market for the Europeans. For Germany, China, I think, is the number 2 market after France. And as a consequence, we should have strategies. But the number 1 strategy is to get United States of Europe. And our people, I think, are prepared for it, but we need a smart strategy and an educational effort in all areas.
So let's hope for the best for Europe. Let me focus a little bit more on leadership. You are a very accomplished leader. What is the one trick or one factor for your successful career?
Being just natural. I think my only success I had that I discovered after the war, returned from the war as a private first class, that Europe would probably be a unit, hopefully thanks to the United States. Get ready for Europe. So I studied in Germany, in Great Britain, France, Switzerland, and Italy. This was the foundation. Today, of course, you better get this foundation on a global scale, or you go to our IE University, where you have, in a nutshell, the global world almost represented. But apart from this, you just have to work hard and to have your nose on the ground to feed your computer, so that your computer is working day and night, and the computer consequently will give you better instincts. And your decisions, all the decisions I made, I have not done, so to speak, by thinking about it, but by my instincts. And I fed my instincts also very hard by discussions. And discussions are important elements for a leader to get to know his people and his people to know him, and to create confidence, and to also have the other elements you need in evaluating your people in order of promoting them, getting them in the right place, and all what is required. So I don't take big scientific elements, but I feel communication is the most important element for a leader, to go out, to tour his areas, to be known among your people, to convince them that you have the right strategy, and to assure by doing this that they would work as a team and not after your departure discuss what an accident it is to have this man at the helm. So I think it's normal human behavior and constantly on the ball. And the only handicap I felt in my days, every night I knew I was not ready with my work. And the good thing in my facility, in my work, was that due to the security issues at the time in Germany, I had at 7 o'clock in the morning my security team for jogging, to stay in shape. That's also an element for a leader.
Mens sana in corpore sano.
See.
Thank you so much, Carl, for your time. Vielen herzlichen Dank.
Great pleasure. Hasta la vista.